They are recreating the visuals from their past music videos, but they're opposite. That I will get to at the end with like my theory on what this music video actually represents. Hey, welcome back. My name is Alex. I'm a freelance videographer and filmmaker, and today we are taking a look at BTS's Yet to Come. The day's finally come, new BTS music video. Okay. There's water. There's water. He's looking at the desert. That is beautiful. Oh. They're wearing all white.
Was it honestly the best? Cause I just wanna see the next.
Their faces are so like pretty. They're lit up so beautifully. It's nice and soft even though it's like this harsh sun. They're sitting on like school chairs. That's the truck. That yes, I noticed that. He did that before. There's a school desk, he's wearing a school uniform. They're referencing everything. Those sand dunes look crazy, like they are picture perfect. Looking to the right. That is definitely the truck from the beat. Oh! That one's Spring Day. I recognize that for sure. It's like they're referencing all of their past work. Which makes so much sense because it's an anthology album with their past work on it. That's from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. For sure. He has shoes? Oh, how beautiful. Of course, Suga with his piano. There's flowers blooming in the desert. The container, yes! That's also from the BU. This is so cool. And the train from Spring Day. He looks so young. The license plate says Yet to Come. That's a nice little detail. Oh! Oh, this is so beautiful. Oh my god, I've seen that before too. I think it was in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. They're running to the bus. The bus was from their debut. Oh my god. This is amazing. This is like a celebration of all of their past music videos. Well, maybe not all of them, but... And that makes sense. They keep saying like the past was honestly the best. That, I noticed that too. Where was that from? Wow. Now they're in the bus? It's so like peaceful. The camera's so slow, it's nice and dramatic. We hear the sea again, like we hear the ocean again. Whoa. The most beautiful moment is yet to come. Wow. There's so many references. I was talking to a couple of you over on Discord to help identify all of the references that they made. This video is so dense. I think we have to dive a little bit deeper than a normal reaction. So, welcome to The Break.
Yeah, the past was honestly the best.
I read the lyrics, so I have a good understanding of what message the song is trying to convey. I'm gonna dissect the visuals through a cinematic lens so that all of these pieces get put together and we can see how the message they're trying to convey through the song gets conveyed through the visuals. Okay. JK is there, and we're hearing the ocean, but we're seeing the desert. So in their song Sea, they say, "And the desert we feared got filled with our blood, sweat, and tears to become the sea." Ocean, desert, the world, everything the same, different name. So with that quote in mind, this is the very beginning of the music video. It's the very first thing that we're seeing. JK is looking to the left, and the left of the screen represents looking into the past. He's looking at how their blood, sweat, and tears were able to turn this desert into the sea. But there's also an army saying that says, "With you, even the desert becomes the sea." So I feel like both of those two things just mesh perfectly, and it's just a really great intro. JK walking across the sand dunes could also be a reference to Euphoria or Spring Day. When JK does the hand telescope, that is a direct reference. It's like a remake of Onstage Prologue. Now we see all 7 of the members sitting there in all white in these little school chairs. That is a reference to Just One Day. They're even sat in the exact same order, almost in the same chairs too. Proof is an anthology album, meaning that it's not a whole bunch of new songs, it's a lot of their old songs mixed with a couple of new songs. So it only makes sense that this music video has new visuals mixed in with their old visuals. I don't know if this was intentional, but most things with BTS are. JK's looking straight into the camera, Jin is looking to the left, RM is looking to the right. Jin's looking into the past, RM's looking into the future, JK's just looking at the present. But this is the part where I don't know if it's intentional or not. Obviously they're in the desert, they could face any way that they want to. Like the sun can be in any direction that they want. They chose to have the sun off to one side. So the bright part, the sun is hitting them on the right side and the shadow is being cast on the left side. I'm gonna be talking about sides a lot. So again, the right side is the future, the left side is the past. The sun hitting them on the right side could represent a brighter future. And then the past being on the left could represent like their shadow. Their shadow is behind them. Like this was their past work. This is like what made them. Jimin starts off looking to the past and then he looks to the present. He's reminiscing about their come up. So he's looking into the past, but he's like actually in the present. I think that it is so beautifully represented with V here. So he's literally saying the past was the best as he's looking left into the past. But he turns his head as he says the best is what comes next as he looks into the future. Literally nothing with BTS is a coincidence. Everything is so meticulously planned out. And of course we have this truck which we have seen throughout the entirety of the BU. It is once again headed to the left as we go into this like spiral of references to their past music videos. So this truck is leading us into the past. I was able to find a couple of direct recreations and references to their past music videos. For example, with this truck, we see it here, but then we also see it on Onstage Prologue. That's the best like shot that I could find of it, of just the truck moving. And you'll notice they're almost opposites. They are recreating the visuals from their past music videos, but they're opposite. That I will get to at the end with like my theory on what this music video actually represents, but it is very important. Pay attention as I show the references to their previous music videos. So we see Jin wearing this like studded black jacket doing the hand movement. He does that exact same hand movement in Fake Love, but if you look at the footage back to back, they're mirrored. They're opposite. opposites. The jacket comes from DNA, but it is also seen in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Such a beautiful shot of Jin. This also looks very similar to a shot from DNA. So V is standing here in the desert wearing a school uniform with a school table and a vase of flowers. This reminds me of a scene from Boy in Love. It's all like school-based music video. They have school uniforms, and there's also a little bit more of a direct reference in a second to that. But if you just look at the flower and a vase, those are reminiscent of Epiphany and Love Yourself highlight reels. The sunlight is hitting him on the right side, putting the shadow on the left side, and he is looking to the right side. So he may be wearing an outfit from a previous music video, but he's still looking to the future. I don't know if TB is a reference to anything. Maybe it's the school from Boy in Love, but in my little mind, it means throwback. But like I said, there was a more direct reference to Boy in Love. So V actually gives this girl a rose and then she smells it. So we see V smelling the rose just like the girl did. Their visuals are opposites. Yet again, V even looks to the left into the past as he's remembering this. I love how the camera is pretty much revolving around JK. We're seeing a lot more of the front of his body, and then slowly it turns so that we see more of the side of his body. Like he's falling deeper into the past. As he's smiling, he starts to look more into the right-hand side, into the future. As he says, promise that we'll keep on coming back for more, he turns his head as if something is calling for him. Like there's a bigger calling, like there is more for him into the future on the right side. Jin's facial movements are very important. So he starts off kind of apprehensive, looking down at the ground with the camera above him. And now these two switch places. It feels like he starts to gain more confidence and he looks up. At the same time, the camera comes down and looks up at him. Shots from below looking up at someone are very powerful shots. And it also serves like he's looking to the right and he's looking up, like he's literally looking up to the future. I love how he's sitting on this truck. Again, this truck is the same truck that we've seen throughout the entirety of the BU. This is actually supposed to be his truck in the BU. He's not driving it anymore. He doesn't need to. The truck is pointed to the right-hand side and he's sitting on top of it. The truck served its purpose. And he's sitting on top of it as if he's above it, like he's moved beyond it. We also see all of the boys sitting on the truck in onstage prologue. Again, the images are mirrored, they're opposites. In onstage prologue, the truck is facing the left-hand side, and yet to come, the truck is facing the right-hand side. I absolutely love this shot from Spring Day. Like how did they get this exact same carousel thing to California? It looks the exact same aside from the little frilly things right here. Props to the art department, that's crazy. So yes, this is pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of the scene from Spring Day, but one very important detail is the direction that JK's head is turning. In Spring Day, his head starts off straight and he turns to the right. And yet to come, he starts off to the right and turns his head straight. Literally opposites. It's poetic, it's very beautiful. So now we have Suga and all of them still sitting in these chairs. Again, this is like a direct reference from Just One Day. Suga starts rapping and it's pretty much the exact same shot. I love this shot showing all of them sitting together, unified, looking to the right, looking into the future. The sun is in front of them this time, so it's hitting their face, the way that they're looking. They're looking into the light, into this bright future that they have ahead of them. This shot is a direct remake of the shot from Spring Day, so that might be why they added it here. But I like to think that since this carousel is on the left-hand side of the screen, they really added this shot to show that it's in their past. Like it's a fond memory that they can look at from their past. We once again see V in the school uniform holding the rose. We saw this shot before, but the cinematography has changed this time. In the previous shot that we saw, he was a lot more in the center. In this shot, he's pushed a lot more to that right-hand side. Like his physical body is getting closer and closer to the future while he's still reminiscing about the past. Beautiful use of CGI here. They added the Abraxas statue, or something very similar. It's definitely a callback to the Abraxas statue from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Jin and the truck are kind of in the same pose as before. It almost looks like the same shot, but now we have this gigantic statue. I like that it is on the right-hand side looking down on Jin. It's like staring at him in the eyes. They are locking eyes just like they did in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Now in Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Jin was more so becoming Abraxas. He had to see both evil and good within the world. So with Jin on the left-hand side of the screen looking to the future and seeing Abraxas, it's like he has to be reminded that there is still good and evil. There's that balance within the world. So pretty much every time they're in the chairs, it's a reference to just one day. But they are using a longer focal length lens. You can see that the sand dunes behind them have gotten larger. It takes up pretty much the entire frame. This gives the perception that all of their chairs are aligned. They are just in a single line. They are unified. And then we get to the shoes. So Jimin is wearing pretty much the exact same outfit that he was wearing in Spring Day. He has the black striped shirt with the blue jacket, and the shoes were a pretty big symbol in Spring Day, representing all of the children who lost their lives in the Seoul ferry tragedy. And the shoes here start to become even more powerful when we start to think of the desert as the ocean where that tragedy happened. Notice how he's not walking to the left or to the right to find these shoes. He's walking straight on. This is something that is happening in the present. He's not reminiscing, he's thinking about it now. He does pick up these shoes and looks up to the sky. When he looks up to the sky, he's facing to the left. He's looking at their memory into the past because this event happened in the past. He also points up to the sky, which could be a reference to one of their old music videos. I think he's done this before, but really he's pointing at the children to their eternal resting place. It's not quite a recreation, more of a reference to in Spring Day, where he looks at the tree. You'll notice the difference in their body language. In Spring Day, his body is turned a lot more to the left to the past. And yet to come, his body is a lot more straight into the present. But his head in both of them is looking to the past. Now we have Suga on top of this piano, surrounded by all of these beautiful flowers and a butterfly going past. Flowers growing in the desert in general is a very beautiful symbol or metaphor. Kind of makes you think of like a mirage, like having this oasis in the desert. It also kind of thinks of like a rose growing in concrete. Like these flowers should not be able to exist in this condition, and yet they do. Kind of like how BTS, or at least their success, was never meant to happen. And yet it did. Now, of course, this imagery can stand alone by itself if this is your first encounter with BTS, but they are referencing previous music videos and songs. At first, we see these butterflies, which is a reference to the song Butterfly. Then the next thing that you see are these flowers, and that reminds me of Stay Gold. In Stay Gold, they start off in this apocalyptic future and end up in this oasis, which is beautiful with all of these flowers. And finally, we have Suga on top of this piano. The piano is something that we've seen again throughout the entirety of the BU. A couple of videos with that piano are like First Love, which has this flashing red light, and then Fake Love, which shows the piano explode. The piano that we saw throughout the BU is brown. It's made out of wood. It's just like a typical piano, but this one is red. It makes me think like since the piano blew up in Fake Love and like Fire is kind of like orangey red, now this piano is red. I don't know, that one might be a bit of a stretch. He is sitting on top of the piano just like Jin is sitting on top of the truck. And since the piano is such a vessel to the past, he is sitting on top of that. He is above the past, ready for the future. But that doesn't mean he's not reminiscing. He is sitting facing the left-hand side, looking back at the past. All of their outfits are references to previous music videos, Spring Day, DNA, or Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Boy in Love. Suga's outfit is a reference to War of Hormone. You may notice a common theme, but again, he is facing to the left-hand side, but then he starts to look towards the right-hand side. He's reminiscing about the past, but looking into the future. Just like Jin, the camera is shooting up at Suga, giving him this really powerful stance. It's like he's conquering his past, and he's actually ready to move on to the future. And that transitions so well into RM. While Suga's facing to the left, RM is facing to the right. While Suga is reminiscing about the past, RM is looking towards the future. Both of them have that really powerful stance with the camera really low pointed up at them. RM's outfit and the set in general is a reference to Run. The shipping container and these gas pumps are something we've seen again throughout the entirety of the BU. They're really synonymous with Suga's character. He was actually living in this specific shipping container because it has the exact same numbers. And then working at this gas station. These two scenes are complete opposites yet again. In Yet to Come, RM is standing facing to the right. In Run, he is walking to the left. I love the framing here. The only thing that I would change is to have this tree right here have some sort of leaves. You can see the plants are taking over the shipping container, like it's been abandoned for years. The trees are dead. Even the gas pumps are halfway into the ground. It's like the past is truly forgotten. So if we were to have this tree on the right-hand side have flowers, it would just make these two sides of the screen complete opposites. RM is even standing here with his back turned towards the shipping container while he's looking towards the future. He is ready to start this new chapter. And the thought of this as a chapter is so important. Just like how the shipping container and the gas station were kind of buried and forgotten, so is this train. This train is abandoned. Now we've seen this train in Spring Day, and this entire scene is a reference to Spring Day, but J-Hope's outfit is a reference to the Love Yourself highlight reels. J-Hope is dancing here just like how he did with the girl in the Love Yourself highlight reel. He even lifts his arms like he's flying, just like in Spring Day. This shot is a recreation from the Love Yourself highlight reels. He's wearing the exact same outfit, and it's cool to see the difference between like how young he was and how he looks like now. First off, the license plate says Yet to Come. Beautiful, nice attention to detail there. Again, we've seen this truck throughout the entirety of the BU, but I think this scene is referencing onstage prologue. They're really just having fun sitting in the back of the truck and just around the truck in general. And that's exactly what they're doing here. These shots of V inside of this sandstorm, I could not for the life of me find a reference for this. And I think that's because there is no reference for this. So they were in Las Vegas for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm pretty sure that they filmed this in California. At the time, there were very high winds creating all of these sandstorms. So I don't think that they meant to film this, but I think that they utilized the situation that they were in. So there is no reference for this. This is new material. So he's walking to the left. He's walking into the past, which is like this sandstorm. I feel like that just means like the past has already happened. It's already there. You're not gonna be able to move forward if you're stuck in the past. And that's why it's so hard for V to walk into the past. It's like it doesn't want him to. Jimin pretty much recreates the scene from Spring Day, but he starts walking kind of into the past and he does a whole 180. Since we just saw V trying to walk into the past and not being able to, it kind of reinforces that idea of moving forward, but paying homage and knowing your past. This could also be a reference to DNA, but come on, he does the exact same thing in Spring Day. Now, I absolutely love this role reversal. This is a recreation almost of the scene from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. In Blood, Sweat, and Tears, V is the one that covers Jin's eyes. But in Yet to Come, Jin covers V's eyes. This entire music video has these opposites happening through their references. And again, I'll get to what that means at the end of this video. So he uncovers the eyes, and instead of seeing Abraxas like in Blood, Sweat, and Tears, we see the bus from No More Dream. The bus is literally their beginning. Their debut, their first music video. It's where they started. Now instead of Suga facing to the left, he's facing the right, embracing the sunlight on his face, looking to the future. The same thing can be said with J-Hope. He's facing to the right, embracing the future. This scene mimics the scene with Jin in the car in Abraxas. Jin and J-Hope are on the left-hand side, and the imagery is on the right-hand side. RM, again, is walking directly to the right-hand side into the future. They're running to this bus, and the best reference I found was from Run, because they're running in like the similar way. It is in slow motion, which is very cinematic and beautiful, and really drives home that idea of like new beginnings. We see JK running up this mountain by himself, signaling for the members to come and join him, or for anyone to join him, probably ARMY too. He's literally running up a mountain into the unknown. But this is also a reference to On, where we see him running up like Pride Rock or the mountain there. You'll notice if we put On and Yet to Come side by side, they are running in different directions. They're mirrors of each other. Now them running, they've run in so many music videos. Young Forever, Run, Euphoria, so many music videos. RM is doing the same movement that I think Jin is doing in Young Forever. We see JK balancing as he's walking across the bus. This is a recreation of Euphoria, theme of Love Yourself, Wonder. He's even wearing like the same outfit, all white, but I don't think that the outfits are in reference to each other. I think the outfits are something completely different. In Euphoria, he starts off really on the left-hand side, and in Yet to Come, he's a lot more in the middle. It is a recreation of the scene, but I think in Yet to Come, it's meant to show that he's a lot further on in this journey. He's in the middle. He's not in the first chapter anymore. Now they're in the second chapter. RM looking to the right-hand side, Suga looking to the right-hand side, J-Hope walking to the right, looking to the left, Jin walking into the future, looking into the past. The license plate on the bus also says Yet to Come. It would have been nice if this number meant something too. That would have been a nice little Easter egg. The next shot of the bus is literally on the left-hand side. It is like a part of their past, and they're all facing the future. And the sun is also on the right-hand side. We see V yet again, not quite looking into the future, but stuck in the present, which is at least some improvement from being stuck in the past. JK is kind of just flying down this mountain. Maybe the mountain was the first chapter of their journey, and now he's just enjoying the ride, because he is very smiley. He's a very smiley guy. But JK is doing similar movements in like Young Forever and Theme of Love, Wonder. And of course, Jimin walking to the right, kind of being pushed towards the past with the cinematography. He started on the right-hand side, and it's slowly pushing him to the left-hand side of the frame. These next two shots are kind of opposites. So we have J-Hope looking into the past, but the sun is shining on his face. Suga is looking towards the future, and the sun is shining on his face. The future is bright. It's kind of what the sun represents. So bright that he has to block that light. And we see JK embracing that same light, embracing the future. It should also be noted that he's not running on this bus anymore. He is stopped directly in the center. If they're considering this the second chapter of their journey, there's typically a 3-act structure in stories. So there's the beginning, a middle, and an end. So chapter 1 would be over here, represented in theme of Love Yourself, Wonder. Now he's directly in the middle, chapter 2, and then chapter 3, we would theoretically see him over on the right side. V's doing the exact same hand movements here as he was doing in Spring Day. Jin was also doing that same hand movement. The ending of like the song here could be a reference to Just One Day, or the ending of No More Dream, especially since they are standing in front of the bus, which represents their beginning and how they started. Then we move to this shot. Oh my God, so beautiful. It's almost like a one-to-one recreation of Spring Day. The only difference is that this shot kind of lingers a little bit more than Spring Day. Spring Day was a little bit faster. Again, we are hearing the ocean. So it's like we're coming full circle. We heard the ocean at the beginning, and now we're hearing it again at the end. It should also be noted that in their debut in No More Dream, they were coming off of the bus, and now in Yet to Come, they're going into the second chapter of their careers. They are going onto that bus. The visuals close with these black bars kind of like squishing the frame, and that is the complete opposite to their debut in No More Dream when the black bars opened up the visuals. So this music video was a beautiful trip down memory lane for them, reminiscing about the past, but being very hopeful for the future. I think that hope for the future and the fact that this is pretty much a clean slate is represented in their outfits. So yes, they were wearing all of these outfits that referenced previous music videos, but these white outfits are white. They're all white. They're pure. They're a fresh start. Now, I've been saying that the references and recreations of their past music video scenes, a lot of the time they were opposites. For example, in Blood, Sweat, and Tears, there's this role reversal going on. And yet to come, Jin covers V's face in Blood, Sweat, and Tear, V covers Jin's face. Why are they doing this? This is just a really good storytelling technique. Since they're calling this chapter 2 of their careers and their story, it makes me think that they're trying to tell a full story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. A first act, a second act, and a third act. If we look at this from movie trilogies, for example, BTS is now entering the second movie. So a lot of times in movies, what they'll do is they'll do a complete role reversal. They'll do the opposite of what they did in the first movie. This is some of the best storytelling that you can do. It helps to challenge the character's beliefs. If they're given a weapon to defeat the bad guy in the first film, take that weapon away in the second and see how they handle that situation. It might make your main character realize that they never needed the weapon in the first place. I want to give a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, specifically Caroline, Jemmy, Jessica, Julia, Kimberly, Lisa, Lucas, Melissa, Maseju, Sabrina, and Victoria. Patreon is the only way that I'm able to do this full time, so if you can, check the Patreon link in the description below. I got a lot of really good BTS content over there. If you're not already subscribed, join the crew, hit that subscribe button, and all right.